Hello everybody, Poison Eye here. We are back at it again in Stoneshard, but this time instead of making an episode, we're going to be talking about the changes that occurred with the recent Reputation Patch. There's a couple of things to talk about, so without further ado, let's get that started. Starting off with the obvious, we can now see our reputation in the game, meaning we can actually keep track of how much farther we have to go through until we reach Benevolence, Amity, and Respect, or even the opposite coin of Resentment and Hatred. Speaking of which, these benefits get much better or worse as you keep going down the Reputation tier. For an example, with Benevolence, you start getting better prices and better stock. Not the best, but it's a good start. But then when you get into Amity, not only your better prices and sale prices go up, your stocking goes up to 30%, so there's more to buy from, and they start selling you better gear. For an example, in this case, they start selling you 3 levels ahead of the merchant stock. While at Respect, not only the better prices go up once more again, but they also sell you better gear once again at up to level 5 maximum of the merchant stock. The stock stays the same, but that's okay. We really want the other two things anyways. Now this goes for the same thing on the other side of the token as well. Starting at Resentment, not only they sell you stuff at bad prices, but they also start selling you stuff that are below. And it only gets worse from there, because when they hate you, the prices skyrocket and the selling is terrible. In addition to that, it's 4 levels this time. And I'm not sure I know anybody that's gone to the point where they hate them at this point of the game, but let's not get there. The reputation that you might earn from time to time might be a little bit different, but from what I've noticed, you would either earn 250 reputation or 300 reputation, or you would lose 300 reputation or 400 reputation. This of course means, if you complete it, you get that much, or if you don't complete it, you lose that much. And then the troll reward, obviously, it's still at a whopping 1k of reputation, so that's always nice to do if you can get that done. Next thing to quickly mention is the bandits, because now they hold medical supplies like we do. Specifically the splints, bandages, and vivifying essence. If they have a huge injury in their leg, hands, torso, heads, or whatever there is, they're going to use that splint. While if they're bleeding, they're going to use the bandage, and if they're at low health, they are going to use a vivifying essence. While I personally don't see this being that much of an issue, especially since this is really like wasting a turn for them, vivifying essence on a boss might become an issue. So be aware about that next time you encounter them, because the last thing you want to do is get caught off guard by it. Now about those raves. Apparently we're supposed to be getting 2 variants into the game, but I've yet to notice that. On the few times that I was trying to actually try to find one, I never did. So I looked into the data files real quick to see if there's any new raves in there, and I don't see any. Unless I'm looking in the wrong spot, I don't think these raves are in the game right now. Rather, I believe they're going to be implemented in, maybe a few hot fixes in later. But still, nice to know that they're trying to add more variants enemies into a dungeon. Pretty cool. Now for the gas standard Necromancers. They had learned this new skill called Binding Sigil, which pretty much redirects 25% damage towards whatever the affected undead is. Not only that, the affected undead gets energy drain. Now, I am not quite sure about the energy drain. I'm not even sure why the developers added something like that. Maybe life drain would have been more relevant. But the 25% damage taken towards the undead user that's been casted on is pretty important to note on, especially since the Necromancer is the one that actually learned it as well. As it is, fighting the Necromancer with his baseline health is already a long one. Now imagine him just getting an extra 25% of his maximum health on a skill. So yeah, just be aware about this kind of skill coming around every now and then. One other important change that has to be taken note of is the enchantment rebalance. Yep, now they work differently. Back then, the way they used to work is that when you put your enchantment scroll on your piece of armor or weapon, you would get 2 types of enchantments at a random number. Now we only get one enchantment type, but at a fixed number, which is really important because rather than trying to roll your gear to try to get extra dodge or an extra physical resistance, now we can actually get a fixed amount of 3 dodge, 3 physical resistance, and much more. I'm going to be showing you guys the armor variance version of all the enchantment stat lines you can get and the weapon stat lines you can get. But there are some exceptions to this rule. These being block power, elemental damage, HP, and energy enchantments. These are an exception to the rules because they get their enchantment value based on the armor or weapon value. So for an example, with the weapon damage, I have the Master Falconer, and it has +8 elemental damage, while the Hugenda only has +3 elemental damage. Because the Master Falconer is one of those endgame weapons, while the Hugenda is one of the earlier game weapons, this is one of the reasons why the elemental damage on these two weapons are really different. Now, the only time we're going to be able to get 2 enchantments on our weapons and or gear is if it's a dropped gear or weapon. And speaking of which, the curses, yes, they also got changed up as well. Along with the typical criteria of if the weapon or armor is cursed, they get an extra 33% bonus on the regular enchantments, but now the curse enchantments also got buffed as well. For an example, with Gorelust, it used to be 10% crit chance, now it's 13% crit chance. In addition to that, the weaker you are, the stronger it gets, which is actually notably powerful when I think about it. But this is not the only item that's been affected with this, of course. All the curses have been affected by this kind of treatment too, so based on what kind of curse you have on your weapon or armor, the worse your condition is for it, the stronger it gets. So with Nalma, for an example, the hungrier you are, the more life drain you're going to get, which is, again, pretty powerful. That's the idea behind that with those curses. Just keep in mind that even though we have a reworked enchantment system, I don't think this is going to be our official one. The devs wanted to do this because they wanted to prevent save scumming or avoid it at all times, which quite frankly, the fact that they gave us a flat amount of whatever enchantment we roll for is gonna help. Normally in my games, I would usually try to get dodge no matter what, but now the fact that I get 3 dodge at all times is pretty good. If I got another good enchantment with it, then great, but otherwise the 3 dodge was pretty much my priority, and now it's just much easier to get it. Now there are some small changes that they did with this patch, some of them which of being the crypt enemies got a lot stronger because they have more resistances. However, they also increased their weight, so that would mean they appear less in one room. So you probably won't be finding those lines of skeletons in the rooms anymore. In addition to that, they reduced the resistance and accuracy for the Proselyte bosses, aka the chapel bosses, the vampires. Now they may hit you less because they can't hit at all. The bottom floors of all dungeons have less room, or to be specific, 20%, so you might be able to get away with a cleaner boss kill rather than a clumped up one. They also nerfed the Necromancer mantle. Yep, everyone's favorite item. They reduced the dodge chance by 5%, cooldown reduction by 5%, and fortitude by 5%. I still think it's a good item, but it will not be the same. In addition to that, they fixed the issues with the moose and the bisons, granting little to no experience on death. I remember this very well because, well, getting 20 EXP on a bison was not okay. They lowered the chances of food and alcohol dropping in the bastion containers. They also reduced the lifespan for most food types, so expect them to run out sooner. And now for the bug fixes. They fixed a couple of bugs that I didn't even realize it was a bug, or some of them I knew, but I was just whatever about it. One of the bugs being they fixed the bug where you can actually receive stun and daze at once, which is good for you guys because enemies can both stun and daze you, I guess, but this is also bad for us because we could have done the same thing, so my mace run might have gotten nerfed indirectly. They also fixed the bug where archers were recovering from injuries when they switched to melee. That was kind of annoying, but whatever. They fixed another bug where the mobs would leave the dungeon when they were chasing a player. I gotta admit, I remember I took advantage of that one, and I am going to miss that. They also fixed a bug that this was always been around for a while, that traps no longer spawn under enemies, and they no longer spawn in a boss room. So we can't get those free kills like we used to before. In addition to that, now mobs can actually travel in between floors. So if you're on floor 2, and they were too close to you, of course, and they go to floor 1, well, you go to floor 1, and they'll follow you, like they should have been. And then the last bug that I was the most surprised about is the fact that the troll can now shockwave in melee range. That was a bug. I am a little bit shocked on that one. I am not sure how I feel about that either, because quite frankly, I kind of got used to the fact that he won't shockwave me in a melee range, but now it's back to old habits. So yeah, I think he's just way too easy again, but that's just me. If you guys thought this guide was good, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any comments, suggestions, or anything of the sort, you can always leave them in the comment section below. If you guys want to read the entire patch notes, I'll be leaving them in the description below. I also want to give a shout out to Beardo Dude. He's been helping me collect information that I needed in order to make this video go a little bit faster. I'll be leaving his channel in the description below. He does also make Stoneshard content like I do, so check him out as well. Other than that, I'll be seeing you guys next time. Peace.